you have to be intentional with your life. Whatever it is that you want, it's not good enough to just have the desire. If you're not actually putting in the actions in place, it's not going to happen. It really won't. So definitely making sure that you're being intentional with how you make your decisions, with how you manage your money. And even, like we said before, say no. If you need to say no, it's okay, because you have to think of the bigger picture.
Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, thanks for stopping by. My name's Tolu, and on this channel I share content all around personal finance, budgeting, frugal living, and I show you how to live your best life on a budget. If you're a returning subscriber, thanks for coming back to watch another video. It's amazing to have you here with me again today. Right, so today's video, guys, I'm going to be bringing you season 2, episode number 3 of Tea Money Talks. So in today's video, what I'm going to be doing is having a conversation with an amazing personal finance coach. Her name is Peta-Kay, and she has a business called the Perils and Pearls Coaching Academy, and she does loads and loads of stuff all around personal finances and business finances too. And we had a really amazing conversation about how to stop surviving and how to start thriving with your finances in 2021. So if this is your first time watching one of these episodes of Tea Money Talk, then I advise you to get yourself a cup of tea, get yourself some snacks, and get comfortable and enjoy this episode of Tea Money Talk, because it was an amazing conversation and I'm sure you're going to get so much from it. Without further ado, stay tuned for episode number 3 of Tea Money Talks.
Once again, thanks again, Peta-Kay, for coming on. And before we dive into the conversation, let me know, or let the guys know, a little bit about yourself and what you do. Obviously, I did a bit of a pre-introduction, but I'm sure you can tell them about yourself in your own words better than I can.
Well, hey everyone, my name is Peta-Kay and I'm a finance and business coach. So essentially what I do is I help people to learn how to manage their money better and really kind of dealing with bad habits and mindsets that they have when it comes to managing their money. And I also work with small businesses, really just helping them to put systems in place to run their business more successfully. So in a nutshell, that's what I do. I'm very passionate about finances, and I've always been someone that's been very driven by helping people and just helping them to achieve their potential. Like for me, that gives me so much joy and so much pleasure. So yeah, that's it really.
Amazing. Amazing. Love it. No, amazing. Okay, so what I like to do, if you've tuned into any of my shows, before we dive into the meat of the conversation and what we're really here to talk about, I like to do a bit of an icebreaker just so we can kind of settle into the conversation a little bit, and the guys that have tuned in can play alongside us. So the game is basically would you rather. So what I do is I give you 2 options and you just pick which of the 2 you'd rather do. So you guys that are playing along at home, you can play along by just saying A or B to each question in which I pick, or 1 or 2, whichever of the 2 you prefer to do. Okay, so we're going to get into it. So the first question is, would you rather have more time or more money?
At this stage, before I'd say time, but now my time is very flexible. I say more money because now I know what to do with it. So
you got the time now, so you're like, I'll have the money.
Now I've got the time, so I'll say more money.
Okay. Yeah, I think I would say more time. Yeah, I'd say more time because I feel like there's not enough hours in a day to do all the things in which I want to do. So yeah, definitely more time for me. Okay, would you rather read an amazing book or watch an amazing movie?
I'm gonna go for book. I feel like I'm a little bit over movies now, and I've been reading a lot more, so I'd probably say a good book.
Really? What book are you reading at the moment?
At the moment, I'm reading The Intelligent Investor, and I'm finishing up I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings as well.
Oh my gosh, I read that in school. Yeah, I read that years and years ago. Yeah, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. That's a really good book.
I've read it before years ago, but I'm reading it again.
Okay. So most people have said movie. Number 2, it looks like movie's more popular than the awesome book. So, but you said a good book. I think I'd say a good movie because actually I don't actually like sitting down reading books. I like to listen to audio books. I don't get enough time to sit down and read. Yeah, I would love to, but I don't get enough time. What'd you say?
Fair enough. I said I've tried audiobooks, but I feel like with that I have to really. It's not the same for me. I prefer reading it.
Yeah, no, I hear that. It's just I don't get the time. That's the only way I can get a book in me if I listen to it. Because if I say I'm going to sit down and read it, I'll show you the amount of books that I've started that are on my shelf that I haven't managed to get time to finish reading them. So yeah, audio books for me. Okay, this is another one. This is not actually money related, but would you rather be too hot or too cold?
This is going to sound weird for someone that is actually Jamaican, but I'm so sorry. I'd rather be too cold. The reason why is that when I get too hot, I get headaches, and I hate having a headache. So yeah, I'd rather be too cold.
Same. Because I feel like you can layer up, but being too hot, like there's nothing worse than being like so hot and bothered and just
Definitely, and it irritates you as well. Like your face is all sweating. Nah, just a bit of cold. I'll get over it.
yeah. Oh, okay. We've got divided in the comments. I'm seeing a lot of too hot and a lot of too cold. Yeah, no, definitely cold for me. I'll either just layer up and keep myself warm, get a hot water bottle, get a hot drink, and then yeah, warm up from the inside out that way. Yeah, no, same. Okay, a couple more. So would you rather? I don't know what. My husband's listening into this, so this is going to be quite funny. But would you rather go on a cruise with your best girlfriend or on holiday with your spouse?
That's a good. Well, my husband isn't watching, so I can say whatever. Actually, I would choose the holiday with my spouse because obviously last year there was no holidays.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have fun on a holiday, so I'd pick that.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick that too. Let's move on swiftly. I'm not trying to get in trouble tonight. So yeah, the holiday with my husband, of course. It's not even a question, really, is it?
It's not even. Hands down, hands down.
Okay, so the next one, last question. Would you rather get rich through really hard work or would you rather get rich through winning the lottery?
Hard work, definitely.
Yeah.
I feel like with hard work, you're going to value that money as opposed to just the lottery.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'll take the lottery. Just give me the money. As much as I love working hard. Yes. I think I would like to win the lottery, probably. I don't play it though, so I probably never got a chance of winning it.
So you're not going to win anyway.
Exactly. I'm not going to win anyway. No, thank you. Thanks for being a good sport. So we've got mixed divided, lottery and hard work. So yeah, interesting. I like playing this game with my guests. What's that?
Somebody said that's tired of hard work. I get it. I understand.
I hear you, sis. I hear you. Oh my gosh, tired of the hard work. Okay, super. So that leads us nicely onto today's topic of conversation. So we're going to be talking all about, obviously, how to stop surviving and start thriving with our finances in 2021, which I'm really excited to get into. But what I really wanted to know a little bit about is your background. So first question, I guess, to ask you is a little bit about your relationship with money growing up. So what was give us a bit of an insight into what life was like for Peta-Kay before you became Peta-Kay, the finance coach and business coach. What was your financial relationship like, or your relationship with your finances before?
To be honest, from quite young, I had a very good relationship with money. Like whenever someone would give me money, I would save it. Like even so much so, my older sister would always borrow money from me, and I'd like make her write notes saying she's gonna pay me back. From like a really young age, I'd always kind of had that sense of the value of money. But when I started working from like 16, I was working like part-time during college. For me, I feel like that's when my relationship with money started to be defined, because it's like now I'm working, I have my own money, and I don't need to ask anyone. So I developed a lot of bad habits because again, I never really had any responsibilities. All the money that I'd earn, I was earning like £1,000 at the time. For a 17-year-old, that's a lot of money. So for me, it's like I have all that money, I've only got like my phone bill to pay, and I'd end up spending everything. So I started to develop like a really bad habit of like overdraft. Me and overdraft Halifax were best friends. Every single month, just know I was going into my overdraft, and it wasn't even because I needed to, but in my mind I knew I'm gonna get paid on the 25th, so like I'm gonna pay like anyway. So really, I just really had this bad sense of just wanting things now. And if you ask me what I spent the money on, I don't even know. It was just a mixture of like going out, or maybe I'd buy something. So it's like, and again, with money, it comes and it can go real quick if you're not conscious of how you're spending. So I definitely say, like, as I got older and I started to develop more in my career, even though I was working in business management later on as I got older, it's like when it came to my personal finances, the way that I would manage that was not like how I would manage finances at work. It was more like, just kind of like, you know, I know I'm going to get paid anyway. As long as I could save a little something, I would just kind of like overspend, if that makes sense. So there wasn't really that kind of sense of discipline when it came to my finances. So that was pretty much it in a nutshell. I think it's more probably the end. To be honest, it's when I got married that I actually started to realize like, this finance thing, I need to be more disciplined, because in my mind, I always attributed the way your finances has to do with the money you earn. And I started to realize that even though there was quite a lot of money coming in, because there was no budget, there was no strategy of how we were going to manage our money, like money was just going. And I'm like, oh, where did the money go? Like, well, what did we spend it on? Because again, I wasn't tracking it. I didn't really have a sense. For me, like my fear was always, I don't want to get into debt. So as long as my bills are paid, like I'm good. For me, I'm not going to owe anyone. If I have to sell something in my house to pay a bill, bill, I would sell I would sell it to pay the bill, because I always kind of growing up had that sense of I don't want to be in debt, and my mom always kind of drummed that into me. She was very, very responsible when it came to money, so that part I always had. As long as I don't owe nobody, I'm good. But even so, because I didn't have that money management strategy, I was earning, and as my salary was increasing, just know that I was increasing my expenses as well.
Of course, lifestyle inflation, yeah.
So again, for me, I think when I actually finally decided to make a change was 2019, I think beginning of 2019. And it was mainly stemmed from when I read the Rich Dad Poor Dad book. And there was a lot of things that I read in there, and I was like, Like, one of the questions I asked is, how long could you survive for? How many days forward could you survive if you stopped working today? And when I read that, I was like, damn, that's a good point. I couldn't survive for very long. And honestly, and even you spoke a lot about having a financial plan, and it's like at that point, I've always been a very ambitious person. I had goals. But again, when I analyzed how I was managing my finances at that point, it wasn't in line with the goals that I had. So it was from that moment I really started to be more disciplined. And I thought, you know what, let me actually just create something that's going to help me to track my money and actually like know where everything's going, like being a bit more intentional with our money. So again, that's when I just created my finance and budgeting tracker. Now, at that time, I never imagined that I was going to be selling it or people would be using it. I just decided to create this for us because I wanted to be more disciplined. I've always generally been an organized person, but when it came to my money, I was not organized. So I thought, let me create this, and it really, really helped a lot. And when I actually created it, that's when I realized, oh my gosh, this is where my money's been going. It's been going to food. It's been going out. And of course, back at that time, there was no quarantine, there was no COVID. So again, we were going out all the time, going to nice restaurants, holidays, all of that good stuff, really just enjoying life, you know? So again, once I did that, that's when I really realized, oh, okay, you know, I just kind of have to be more disciplined and making sure I'm tracking my spending. And from doing that, it made such a massive difference. And like at that point, it was like, I was able to really just have control over my money.
That's absolutely amazing. You've shared so many gems there. Well, I like what you said about the whole lifestyle inflation thing, in that your expenses rise to meet your income. So it's like the more money you're earning, the more money you're spending, and you don't realize it unless you actually take stock of it. So it's amazing that you was able to just come to that realization without there being an actual event that happened. Because like with my situation, my story, it was when we got ourselves into so much debt that we were like, okay, no, we need to rein it in a bit and get our finances in order. So the fact that you were able to do that just proactively is absolutely an amazing credit to yourself. Like so inspiring. And I guess that leads me on to my next question, to ask you, like, what inspired you to then take it that step further and now launch a business coaching other people with their finances and business finances?
So if I go back, so 2019 was really a year that kind of started to lay the foundations for our finances. And now when I look back at it in 2021, I'm like, I'm so glad that I started to put those things in place. So I remember even like, I was always that person, like, I have my goals. I know, like, if I'm going for a job, I have my minimum salary that I want to earn. So even the job that I was in, I was earning a good salary, it was in a nice location, but I just hated my job. So I remember coming into 2020, I was like, I need to find a new job. I need a career change. But for me at that time, the career change I was thinking of was, you know, finding another job, doing something else. And I hated my job so much. I was applying for jobs that would pay me less. Jobs that, to be honest, I could keep my eyes closed simply because I just wanted to get out. And when I remember, it's like, even jobs I was overqualified for, they weren't calling me back. And I'm like, why does nobody want me? And it was funny because a lot of jobs in my industry constantly were contacting me. And I'm like, why? I'm not interested. Not looking, I'm not interested.
What industry were you in before?
So I was working in dentistry, and I was basically a business manager. Yeah. So for me, it's like, I've worked in enough companies. Like, I've been in this industry for over 10 years. Like, I know what it is, and I'm not interested. I've done my time, and I'm ready to move on, if that makes sense. So I remember coming into 2020, I was like, nah, like, I need to get out. So I was still looking, nothing was happening. Fast forward now to March, and things at work just got a lot, like, really. And I think when you're someone that's very hardworking, sometimes in companies that can be to your detriment, because there were times I'm getting in early and I'm leaving late. And it's like, I just accrued so much time in lieu, because as a manager, you don't get paid overtime, it's time in lieu. I had accrued so much time in lieu, it was absolutely nuts. And I saw that it was taking a hold on my physical health. Like, I was getting more sick, and I was never someone that would get sick. And I thought at this point, like, this is just not healthy. Like, even like whenever I wake up in the morning, I check my phone, you know, check checking things for work, like, oh, is anybody sick? Because if anyone's sick, I need to sort that out. And it was one of those jobs that you're just doing a lot of things. Like, you don't just have one role. Like, you got a lot of roles, and plus you need to be managing, problems that are happening with people. So it was a very, very stressful role.
Yeah.
So in March, that's when I was like, do you know what? I've had enough. I remember I told my husband at work, and I was like, yeah, how do you feel handing in my notice today? Because I can't wait any longer. I've just had enough, and I need to leave. I can't do it anymore. And he was like, obviously he understood, and he knew how my job was. So he was like, it's fine. And to be honest, when I asked him, I was hoping, do you know when you're hoping someone just talks you out of it?
Yeah,
I was like, I was like, okay, all right, then let's do it. So I handed in my notice that day. A week later, we went into the first lockdown. So I was like, oops, okay. Was this really the right decision? So there was a part of me that was a little bit like, ooh, like, it's actually not going to be as smooth for me to find a new job as I thought it would be. But at the same time, one of the things that kind of just gave me comfort was knowing that we would be okay financially. If I didn't think that, then obviously I wouldn't leave my job. So after leaving that, fast forward now, and it will be a year in April next month since I've actually left. And after that time, it really just gave me time to start thinking about the skills that I had. Like, I was reflecting a lot on the things I did in my career, strategies and things that I'd implemented in companies. And I thought to myself, you know what? I've been making millions of pounds for people, and I'm not even appreciated. I want to do something for me. I want to actually do a role that I'm going to enjoy, that's going to have an impact on people. Because for me, one of the biggest things has always been impact. And as much as the roles that I was in, it would have an impact, but not on the person, it was more on the business itself. And I wanted to do something that I'd actually enjoy doing. So I just started looking more at my own skills. What am I good at? Managing money is, like, obviously that was my job. But I thought there are so many people right now that financially, there's so many basic things that they don't know. A lot of people, when it comes to their finances, that's the area they struggle. And I worked with people, because again, I would do like the salaries for the dentist. There was dentists that were earning like £30,000 a month, but they always seem to be lacking in money. And just seeing that and working with people at that level, it just made me realize that it's not always about what you earn, it's how you spend. There was a lot of people that you may even think, oh my gosh, I wish I earned what they earned. But some of them, they earn a lot, but they owe a lot. So again, I was like, do you know what? So the idea came to me, why don't you just start this finance coaching? And I was like, okay. And for me, I'm a planner. If I'm going to start something, I'm going to take a good couple of weeks and months. But this idea was different. And I thought, you know what, let me just do it. Like, I have nothing to lose. Let's do it. So I was doing my research into, what are the areas people struggle in. And that's when I kind of coined and put together my finance 101 session. Now, even with that, I launched it, I think, the 15th or 16th of June last year. In the back of my mind, it's going to take months. Like, before I get paid client, it's going to take time. And even at the back of my mind, it was kind of like, but what would people actually pay for this? Of course, there are people that need it. I didn't doubt that. But for me, it was more, will people actually pay for it? That was my thing. And then I was like, do you know what? Let me just do it. So I just did it. Within a couple of days, I had my first client. And for me, the biggest thing was, once I did my first finance coaching session, it was like, wow, like, this is what I need to be doing. For the first time in 10 years, I actually enjoyed my job. It didn't feel like work. And I think the biggest part for me was just seeing how much knowledge people lacked when it came to managing their money. A lot of things that I thought in my mind, oh yeah, everybody knows this is common sense. When it comes to money, it is not. It's not common. It's definitely not common.
You're right. It's not. And it's not even like it's not common sense. It's like, we're not taught these basic principles. So it's like we get a job, we earn money, we start working, and then nobody's ever told us really what to do with that money or how to manage our finances effectively. And you just think everybody knows. So you just think, oh, it's silly for me to ask questions. Everyone else knows. This is what everyone else is doing. Let me just do the same thing. And you just kind of follow suit, and you kind of learn from observation of other people. So if someone else is doing it wrong, you're watching what they're doing and you imitate the same thing. So it's like, we've all got paid. Oh, we're all going to go straight. Our student loan has just landed, for example. All of us are going to go straight to the boardroom. That was the shopping centre in Birmingham, and spend our student loan. Because everybody's doing it. Nobody's telling us that actually maybe you shouldn't spend all your money in the first week of it dropping, because you're going to need some money later on for you to have food for the following months and for the rest of the term. So I think, yeah, a lot of times it's like we just weren't given those tools. A lot of us didn't have that experience and that knowledge handed down to us. So it's like, actually, yeah, someone needs to tell us that you don't know what you don't know. So I think when you do know, then it's easy to maybe look back and be like, or look at someone else and think, oh, how do you not know this? But you don't know what you don't know, kind of thing. So that's why it's important you do the work that you do, the work that I do, kind of helping people on that journey, because before I started my whole debt-free journey and stuff like that, I was in that same boat where I wasn't managing my finances effectively. I didn't have a clue what I was doing, kind of thing. I was just kind of going through with the motions, like, okay, there's money in my account, I can spend it. And not the idea of paying yourself first, and the idea of not spending every single thing you earn. That's all stuff that I actually learned later on down the line, acquired that knowledge through books and stuff like that. So as much as it seems like it should be elementary, a lot of it is a kind of thing.
Definitely not. And I do feel like when it comes to money, a lot of people, the most you're taught is save some of what you earn. But again, nobody kind of teaches you how to break down your salary. How much should you even save, you know? And when it comes to debt, there's so many clients that I've had that's like, they got a credit card to build their credit, but now that credit card they got has mashed up their credit because they didn't know how to manage the credit card. So even things like that, I think I was quite fortunate in the sense that when it came to some things to do with finance, my mom taught me those things, but I didn't really follow. It was more afterwards I thought, yeah, I get what mommy meant now.
But mom was like,
she would always, like, for her, she'd always talk about, you know, you have to make sure you save for a rainy day because you never know what will happen. And it's like, do you know those things you hear and like, yeah. But it made sense. And for me, one of the biggest highlights for me as well is seeing how much my mom was able to save, and she never earned a lot of money. But this woman, she knew how to make her money stretch.
Correct.
And even just seeing that, I'm like, a lot of people that are earning way more than her, they got way less savings than her. But simply just having that discipline and just compounding your savings,
yes,
makes a massive difference.
No, 100%, totally agree. Cool. So then moving on, I guess the next question I had is, what would you say have been the biggest highlights so far since starting this whole coaching journey over the last year during a global pandemic? Like the fact that you started that business last year is incredible in itself. But what would you say has been the highlights over the last just less than 12 months actually since you've been running it?
I'd say the biggest highlights has just seen the impact it's made, because even within the first 3 to 4 months, I was already getting testimonials. You know, people that were struggling to save were able to start saving. In the last 9 months, I've had clients that are now debt free that had thousands of pounds of debt just from learning how to, you know, do certain things and really being more disciplined with it. So I'd say the biggest thing for me has been just seeing the impact it's had. And honestly, I never thought that it would be this consistent growth as quickly as it has been. So for me, as much as I started it, I put myself out there, I just didn't expect the impact to be what it was. So I'd say that for me, that's been the biggest thing. Being able to actually do something that I enjoy, looking forward to it. And even now, it's like some of the messages I'll get on social media, like people are like, oh my gosh, I really like your content. It helped me, you know, to start doing this. And I'm like, wow, like for me, it's the impact. Seeing the impact that what I'm doing has made is absolutely amazing. And one of the crazy things for me, as much as people speak very negatively about social media, when you know how to use it properly and in moderation, can really be such a, honestly, it can be for good as well. There's many people I've been able to connect with, clients that I've had that I've never met in person that lives in other parts of the country, but simply have found me through social media, or a friend has shared one of my posts, or, you know, how I've been able to help them. So again, it's like, when you know how to navigate these things properly, it can make such a difference. So for me, just the impact alone and being able to do something I enjoy is absolutely amazing.
No, definitely. I'll echo the same thing, to be honest, because I've actually officially started the coaching side of my business just late last year as well. And I've been doing it informally for the past couple of years since starting my page. And I think the most rewarding thing, I would say, is the same thing you said, is the impact, is having an impact on people's finances and people's lives. So to be able to speak to somebody and share things that have helped me and see it help them, and get those testimonials and people saying, oh my gosh, you've helped me pay off my debt, or oh my gosh, thanks to you, I'm able to save so much more money. All of those things, it's so rewarding in itself. So it's definitely, totally agree with you, and I could definitely relate on that point. And even just seeing Stacey's comment here, that literally makes me smile so hard. Like, I've learned so much from Tolu and her channel and her ebook. Yay! Oh, I've got a new ebook, guys, by the way, in case you didn't know. Link is in my bio, where I talk about how I paid off my debt. So yeah, you can definitely check that out after this live. But yeah, no, totally agree. Impact, and yeah, just being able to have that effect on people's lives is probably the biggest highlight for me too. And then what would you say is the biggest challenge that you faced over the last 12 months or so?
To be honest, I'd say the biggest challenge was more kind of just getting out of my own mind, because it was more for me, one of the challenges was that fear of failure. What if this doesn't work? And again, once you put yourself out there, you've put yourself out there to fail publicly. And it's like, what if this doesn't work? And obviously when you're starting something, people are always gonna, oh, how is it going? And it's like, what if it's not going well? I think for me, the biggest challenge was kind of just getting out of my own head. And it's like, do you know what? I'm not going to just talk myself out of this. I'm just going to do it. So I'd say the beginning was just being consistent in what I was doing and just kind of staying focused on my mission. But now that I've kind of just like, I've got that tunnel vision. And I think for me, one of the things that keeps me going is my clients, you know, the people that I've worked with, the people that I've been able to help. Whenever I'm feeling like, oh, this is long, do you know what I mean? Like, it's long. And to be honest, at the same time, now that I have this freedom in doing what I like, I can't go back to a job I hate. I just can't do it. Because initially when I started, I was like to my husband, give me till September 2020 and I'll see how it goes. Like, if it's not going well, then I'll get a job. But we got to September and things were moving and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to continue this. So even now, looking back, 9 to 10 months later, as much as it's been challenging, I think the biggest challenge, honestly, is just kind of getting out of your own head and also just believing in that you're adding that value. Once you kind of overcome that, it's a lot easier for you to kind of push past that and just keep going, really. Just being consistent.
Yeah, 100%. You touched on things that I would probably say have been the biggest challenges for me too. The imposter syndrome. So I spoke about that actually in my first episode of Tea Money Talks this new season. And I spoke speaking all about that whole feeling like, oh, should I be here? Should I be in this space? Like, my background isn't actually in personal finance. So should I now be putting myself forward as a financial coach? And it's like really talking to myself and explaining to myself that yes, you deserve the seat at the table kind of thing. You have that experience, your own personal experience, and the testimonies of people that you've been able to help. Like, reminding myself of all those things kind of let me know that I'll actually know totally. Like, you're onto something here and you're doing really well. And yeah, I have to keep encouraging myself because so many times I just start thinking, actually, Tony, what are you doing, you fraud kind of thing. So talking myself back off that ledge is something that definitely has been a challenge, but I think just pushing past those barriers, pushing past those limiting beliefs and just keep going kind of thing, and that's what's kind of helped me get to where I am so far. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting journey. It's definitely been a great growth opportunity and I'm learning so much along the way, and I think that's another thing I've really enjoyed actually about this journey is making all these meaningful connections and just learning and growing as a person. So and
I feel like even in this space, there's so many things. As much as I'm teaching my clients, I'm also learning from them. I'm learning how people think about money. Like, even some of the things that I've seen and I've heard, I'm like, wow, like, people actually think this way. So it's almost like you're able to kind of have this live experiment and just seeing how people naturally think and in their environment. And it's really mind blowing being able to kind of see that.
No, it's so true. No, it's good. It's really good. I enjoy it. Like, and making connections with people like yourself as well has been an amazing part of the journey too, actually. Because yeah, I've met so many amazing people in this personal finance space online.
Honestly, it's so nice. People that you've probably never met in person.
I know, right? But it feels like you know people, but it's like, oh, we actually haven't actually met each other face to face.
100%.
Because in the comment section, like, so yeah, that's absolutely amazing. Okay, so I think you've kind of touched on this question actually, so I'm going to skip past that one because I'm going to ask you the most rewarding part of being a finance coach, but I guess that's all back to the highlights of the year, kind of ties in together, isn't it? And let's say, is there anything else you want to add to that?
I think that was it really.
Yeah,
I pretty much kind of said all the things.
Exactly. Yeah, and I thought so. Okay, cool. So now let's move on to how to start striving and stop surviving in 2021. So how would you say people can stop surviving and start thriving with their finances this year? What kind of advice would you give to anybody listening in on this live now that is thinking they're kind of just in that survival mode at the moment? How can they go from that position to thriving with their money in 2021?
I'd say one of the biggest things, and something that I always kind of stress, is when it comes to managing your personal finances, almost see it like a business. Because there's a lot of things that you probably wouldn't do in business that you do in your personal finances. So definitely kind of change your mindset with how you see your money. And if right now, like, let's say you don't know where your money is going each month, or you have no clear strategy for how you manage your money, the biggest thing is just getting started. I think sometimes you kind of feel like, oh, it's going to be so long, I don't have the time. But if you're in like a 9 to 5, you probably get paid 12 times a year. You need to make that 12 times a year stretch. So really, like, the biggest thing I say is just get started. If you don't even know what your fixed expenses are, take that time to go through those standing orders, those direct debits, and add everything up. See how much, your actual expenses are. Because I do feel like sometimes your salary deceives you. You may think, oh yeah, I'm getting 3,000 a month, 4,000 a month, but you're not getting 3,000 a month or 4,000. Because again, you have all these bills that you're paying, and sometimes you're just spending frivolously on other things. So I'd say one of the key things to thrive is knowing your numbers. Whether your numbers are a lot or your numbers are a little bit, you need to know what your numbers are. Because a lot of the time we kind of get into that cycle of, oh, I just need more money. Who doesn't want more money? Everybody wants more money, but it's not always about that. And that's one thing that I had to learn, because it's like, I'm always like, oh, I just need more. No, you need to learn how to manage what you have. If you can't manage what you're on now, you will not be able to manage more money. And that's just the reality of it. So I definitely say, know your numbers. Go through those bills, know what your fixed expenses are. How much is your rent, your mortgage, your bills, your utilities? And again, 1st of April, a lot of things are going up. Counter tax is going up. A lot of things are going up. And in some cases, maybe you're going to be in a position where your salary may not go up because your company just can't afford to do so. So that's why it's key to know your numbers. So knowing what they are, you can then start looking at, okay, if I don't have a budget, I know a lot of people don't like to hear the word budget, but listen, big $1 million, $billion companies have a budget. So you can't be thinking with your couple of £1,000 salary, you don't need one. Everybody needs a budget. And one thing that I've always said is like,
that's what Ramit Sethi in his book, that's what he calls it. Don't call it a budget, call it a conscious spending plan.
Conscious spending plan, money management strategy. Like one of my friends hates the word budget, so we just say money management strategy. Yeah. So yeah, whatever you want to call it, essentially it's the same thing. Yeah. So you have to know your numbers first and foremost. If you've got debt, don't be trying to pretend the debt in there. You need to know how much you owe and who you owe. You know, that's one of the things, because I feel like sometimes, especially when you're in a situation financially you're not happy with, you want to avoid it. You want to pretend it's not there, you know, ignoring those letters, ignoring those people that are calling you for their money that you owe. But I definitely say the best thing is to just be transparent with yourself and know where you are right now. Because if you don't know where you are, you can't really get out of that situation until you face your reality. So definitely knowing your numbers is 100% key. And also looking at ways, you know, how can I maybe reduce some of my expenses? What sometimes you're even paying for things that you're not even using. So that's another thing. So really going through your direct debits, your standing orders, really just having a financial health check, let's put it that way. Looking at your savings, go into your savings account, look at how much is there, and ask yourself, how long, if I lost my job today or my sources of income got stopped, how long can I survive on the money in my savings account? And if the answer to that scares you, then that shows, you know, you need to get to work. You need to start saving, putting money aside every month. Even if right now all you can save is £50, save that £50. Because a lot of the times people think, oh, but I just don't have a lot, so there's no point. No, save it. You know, because sometimes start where you are, because if you can't save that £10 now or that £50 now, when you start having 100, you won't do it because you've not built that habit. So definitely building that habit of saving. And if you're at a stage right now where your savings are on point, you know, you don't really have a lot of debt, then start looking at ways, how can I actually get additional sources of income? What can I do? Maybe you have specific talents, things you're good at that you're doing for free, that you can start monetizing on. One of the biggest things, monetizing your talent. Some of you're good at so many things, but you're always doing it for free. Why? No, we're in a pandemic. People need to pay. You know, even if it's just, you know, selling your services on Fiverr, or I don't know, even babysitting or something, whatever you're good at, whatever your hand finds that you can do and you're good at, start monetizing on that. Because if you're relying on just one source of income, it's only going to get you so far. You're always going to be limited. And I think another highlight for me is that every month I have the potential to make more money. My income is not fixed. If I go hard, I know I can make more. If I just kind of like, oh, I'm not that bothered, my effort is going to show into what I earn each month. So I think that's another thing for me. And it's like, now that I'm out of that fixed income every month, it's like, I don't want to go back to that every month getting the same money and just waiting for that one bonus. No, I don't want to do that anymore. So I definitely say, looking at ways you can start making more money. Looking at ways, how can I start investing? Even investing in stocks, you can start with a little £50 in your account. When I started investing,
literally.
a couple of pounds and now I've got my thousands, you know, that I'm investing. So again, starting where you are is key, and educating yourself. That's another thing. You have to start investing in learning more about these things. The same way, if you want to learn how to cook, you're going to look at cooking channels, read cooking books. It's the same with finances. Again, a lot of this knowledge, you aren't just going to learn it like that. You have to actively seek for that. And again, if you realize, you know what, I have no idea what I'm doing, seek for a professional, someone like myself or Tolu, that can help you. So I definitely say you've got to invest, because even, let's speak about retirement. Everybody says, oh, I want to retire, go on cruises on the beach. But let's be real here. If you're not actively investing for that, there's so many people now that are getting to retirement and they can't afford to retire. Will not sustain you. It's not even £500 a month, the full state pension. So again, it's like you have to consciously start making these decisions now where you are. Not, oh, later on I'll wait. No. Now, starting where you are is the best place to start. So definitely, key thing is know your numbers. Whatever level you are on, knowing your numbers is absolutely essential.
No, Totally. Oh my God, you covered so many things there, but I hope you guys took note, because a lot of what Peta-Kay said there is so crucial, like in terms of winning with your money in 2021 and beyond 2021, and just in general. Because I think if we keep doing the same thing that we've always been doing, we're going to keep getting that same result. So if, like what you were saying before, if I was to ask you, you know, if you lost your job today, how many weeks, months or years are you going to be able to survive without that income? If it's less than a month or 2 months, 3 months, then that's something that definitely needs to be addressed sooner rather than later. And I think just ignoring it isn't going to make it go away. I think it's just a case of us really being open and honest with ourselves, with where we currently are, and not focusing on what other people are doing. So I think a lot of times other people can distract us from our own financial goals, because we see, I don't know, you see the Johnsons over there doing this, and you see the Smiths over there doing that, and you feel like that FOMO thing kicks in, and you think, oh, I'm missing out, so I need to do this too, I need to do that too. But just not watching what other people are doing and making decisions that align with your own financial goals. So that's another thing, actually, is to set yourself financial goals. So make sure there's actually something in which you're working towards. So if by the end of 2021, where would you like to be financially? Would you like to have paid off £5,000 of your debt, £200 of your debt? Would you like to have saved £1,000? Like, literally make it specific, whatever the financial goals that you have for yourself for 2021, and then stay focused on achieving those goals. So I think when we don't have a goal, we don't have a plan or anything that we're working towards, it's easy for the money to just go missing. So have that spending plan, like what you were mentioning before, or the budget, whatever you want to call it, but equally have goals in which you're working towards. And when you have those goals and you have that thing that you're focused on, track those goals as well. I think that also helps. Like when you're tracking your goals and you track your progress, that definitely helps to kind of see that you're making progress towards those goals. Because when it's like, okay, I need to save £5,000, for example, that might seem like a big amount of money, but when you break it down into like monthly goals of, let's say, £200, £300 or something like that, then it seems a bit more achievable. And then as you're achieving it, like each month you've made that £300 or you put that £300 to saving, and it's like, okay, yeah, let me reward myself for doing that. I'm not saying go and spend another £300, but reward yourself with something just for that. Do you know what I mean? And then you're back where you started from. Like, you don't want to do that, but you do want to reward yourself on that journey, because you do need to enjoy the journey at the same time. Otherwise, you're not going to stick to it. So depending on where you are on your financial journey, you do need to make allowances for you to enjoy. So I think that's another way as well, actually, to start thriving financially, is to give yourself some kind of a fun allowance. Because I think when you have
that's why I call the treat me budget. I treat myself. So every month I have a treat me budget. You know, we allocate a certain amount, and that's what I use. I can just buy whatever I want, whatever random. Yeah, so definitely. Exactly. I think when you think of the word, I'm going to use budget, okay? When you think of that word, you think of restriction, but it's all about control. It's all about being conscious with your money. But again, let's say, for example, you love shoes. Have a little shoe budget, you know, every month that you can afford, again. And then that's what you're going to use. Because sometimes the problem is we say, oh, let me treat myself. But there's no controlling that. Every day you're treating yourself, so there's no money left in your account. So definitely just setting yourself those limits that you can actually afford. And even like what you said about having a plan. Write it down. So many times you're like, yeah, I have goals in your head. Write those goals down and really break it down. Start thinking of what are the actions I need to take. You know, what are the habits? Again, habits are a big thing. You may say you want to start saving, but one of the bad habits you have is as soon as you see something, you don't even check if you can afford it. You just already start spending. So even thinking about what habits do I need to start developing that are going to help me to meet my goals. That's another thing that I'd say you have to really focus on as well.
100%. And I think going on from the savings that you just mentioned as well, I think setting automating the process as much as you can will really help as well. So if you do have a savings goal, all of those things, automate it as much as you can, so you kind of take that power out of your own hands. Because what tends to happen if you don't automate it, it's like, oh, actually, maybe I'll just use this money to pay for this, or use it to pay for that, and then before you know it, there's no money to pay.
Something that pops up.
Exactly. But if you kind of automate it and it's done, it's out of your hands. So even before you have a chance to spend it on something else, it's gone to that savings, or it's gone to your investing, or it's gone wherever it needs to go. So I think automating as much as your financial process as you can will definitely help you as well to start thriving with your finances. Anything else that you want to add?
I definitely say if you're someone that you lack control, get a savings account, especially if it's for a long-term goal. Let's say working towards buying a house, or I don't know, some big amount you want to save. Get a savings account that is very limited for you to take that money out. Again, if you're saving money for like an emergency, you need an account, you can access it. But if it's money that you're not intending to use for like the next year or two, put it in one of those accounts that when you take it out, you can only take it out because that way it's like if you're taking it out just to go clothes shop, you're going to think a bit more. So again, I say knowing your weaknesses is very important. Again, I know what my weakness is. Some people, their weakness is food. know what your weakness is. It's important to know it. Identify what are those bad spending habits, what are those things that I'm doing that aren't helping me to meet my goals. And also don't keep those temptations around you. If you know there's certain shops you love shopping from, delete the app. You don't need the app.
Unsubscribe. Yes.
Or let me just browse. Listen, there is no such thing as browsing online, because the cookies are tracking you, okay? Exactly. And that cute dress, those trainers you saw that were really it's gonna follow you. You're gonna go on Instagram and just know this once a post will be the item you look. So again, beware of the cookie monster. Be very aware of the cookie monster. And again, it's like, if there are certain accounts that you follow that are making you feel like, oh, I always want to spend, or you follow every single influencer there is, then you have to, like I said, know your weakness. There's nothing wrong with spending. Life is for living, but in limits, healthy limits. Again, setting those boundaries for yourself. So honestly, delete the if Amazon is seeing you every day and you don't have Amazon everyday money, delete the app. You don't need it. You don't need it, you know. So definitely removing those temptations and knowing what your weaknesses are is very important.
Exactly. It's so funny. Natural Barnett said, flee from the temptation. No, you actually have to. Is that deep?
And this is something I practice whenever I go, because I like home stuff, like cute little things. So if I know I'm going shopping and that's not what I'm going for, I'm not going in those aisles. Why am I looking? If I'm not intending on buying, I don't need to see what's there, because then you're going to be driven to actually want to buy that. So definitely, you know, just kind of knowing your limits.
Yeah, no, I totally co-sign everything you've just said, because unsubscribe, block, delete, mute, do what you've got to do to protect yourself, because as much as we think that we're so strong and, you know, I can withstand all temptations, the reality is you're not going to. Like, you may resist it the first time, but like you said, when the cookie monster comes after you, the second time, third time, the fourth time, you're gonna crack. You're gonna crack. You're gonna crack. And you're like, oh, let me just buy it. So resist those temptations. I think another thing that can kind of help a lot actually is accountability. I think getting around like-minded people definitely helps as well. When you surround yourself with people that kind of share similar beliefs when it comes to finances and are not going to be tempting you every 5 seconds to spend money that you don't have, I think that really definitely helps as well. I'm not saying throw away all your friends that like to spend money, but at the same time, I think communities like this online, like the debt-free community, the personal finance community, there's so many accounts and there's Facebook groups, forums, that there's literally people that you can get around that can kind of help encourage you and motivate you. And I think having that kind of accountability definitely helps on the financial journey. I know for me sharing a lot of my personal finance stuff online, it definitely helps keep me in check, because people literally, you'd be surprised who's watching and who's commenting. People will be like, Tolly, what happened to your goal update? I was like, oh, okay.
I was hoping you'd forget.
You know what I mean? I didn't know anyone was watching like that, but literally people will call you out, be like, you haven't updated us. So I think accountability, I'm not saying you now need to go and put all your finances online like I do, but having an accountability partner, whether it's a friend, a family member, even myself, Peta-Kay, like literally somebody that can kind of help you stay accountable to the financial goals you set yourself, it definitely helps, because it's easy when you set those goals and you're like, I'm going to do this, but who's actually keeping you to account to make sure you actually do it?
Definitely. Especially if discipline is your problem, accountability helps massively. Because so many times with finances, again, because it's personal, you can hide certain things. You know that debt is there, or you have that spending problem, or whenever you're feeling sad, you go, you start shopping, and you can't afford it. But when you do have that, accountability, and you have someone that you need to be transparent to, it makes you think. You know what I mean? Before you start going wild, you're gonna think, maybe
this person's gonna be asking me,
definitely.
No, 100%, totally agree. Okay, so in your opinion then, what do you think are some of the things that kind of prohibit people from striving or thriving with their finances? What would you say some of the things that hold people back are?
I'd say one of the biggest things is mindset, because there are so many people that, again, the way you spend is going to derive from the way you think. If you just have this mindset, or life is for living YOLO, you're going to spend like YOLO and there's no tomorrow. So for a lot of people, it is that mindset. There are a lot of people that they know that there's certain areas that they don't know when it comes to managing their money, but they do nothing about it. So I'd say one of the biggest things that keep people stuck, it is that mindset, or even just thinking, I just need more money. When I earn more money, then I'll change. And you won't. You will not change. You'll actually get worse. It starts
Yeah.
more money, more problems when you don't know how to manage it. And again, for so many people, it's that mindset. Or you're even willing to spend money on a pair of shoes that if you're in debt, the shoes cannot do anything for you. Then you need to invest in your personal development. So I definitely say mindset is something that keeps a lot of people stuck. And again, not having a sense of your numbers. A lot of the times when it comes to money, people deceive themselves. They think because, I have a credit card limit of £5,000, that means I have £5,000. No, it doesn't. It means you're going to need to pay that back with some. So I feel like a lot of people have a lack of self-awareness of where they actually stand financially, and they deceive themselves. There are so many people that they, are showing this lifestyle that they don't yet have. And the third thing I'd say is just that wanting that instant gratification. You have to understand that in life there are going to be certain things you need to build, and there's nothing wrong with that. In the process you can enjoy it, but of course you want to get things quick, and sometimes that desire leads you to making poor financial choices because you're trying to rush the process when you're not there yet. So definitely I'd say the mindset, not having an awareness of where you are, and that instant gratification keeps a lot of people stuck. And then you get into that cycle of you just owe excessive amounts of money that you didn't even need to owe in the first place, and you're just stuck.
Yeah, totally. I think you literally hit the nail on the head. I think a lot of times as well as people don't think that they have an alternative, or that there is another way. So I think especially when it comes to the topic of debt, or just not having, and a lot of people think they don't have enough. Yeah, so like a lot of people think I don't have enough. If I had more, then I would pay off my debt. If I had more, then I could save. If I had more, then I would invest. And it's like, no, actually, it's not a question of if you had more. It's a question of what you do with what you have right now, kind of thing. And I think a lot of times it makes us kind of not be responsible for our actions if we can say, oh, it's only because I don't have that money that I'm here. Whereas if we actually flip it and be like, actually, no, what am I doing with what I have? Then it will kind of make us actually wake up and manage our money more effectively. But I think a lot of times we don't want to put that responsibility on ourselves. It's easier to kind of blame somebody else for our financial situation than actually take responsibility for where we are and what we're doing with the finances and resources that we readily have available right now, kind of thing. So yeah, I think that's the big one. I think it's taking stock of where we are. It's hard like to really have an honest conversation with yourself, because it's easy to point something out to somebody else, but to actually look yourself in the mirror, it's hard. Listen, it's hard to call yourself out and be like, what are you doing? Like, that's a harder thing to do. So I think that's definitely a big part of it for a lot of people. And I know for my own self, that was definitely a big part of it. It was not wanting to take responsibility for the situation in which I got myself into. But it was only at the point that we did that we were able to finally turn things around, because that burying your head in the sand can only last for so long, kind of thing. Eventually, you're going to have to lift that head up and you're going to have to do something and face it head on, kind of thing. So, yeah.
It's so cool. And I feel like another thing as well is people don't know how to say no. You don't know how to say no to yourself or to your family or your friends. Like, I know June 21st is coming and everybody's wanting to go out, but you can't forget your financial situation. You need to know where you are, what you can afford. It's not every single motive or every single outing you need to go to. Like I said, it's knowing your financial situation and not being afraid to say no. Like, I think sometimes the idea that you feel like you need to explain to people why, you don't need to tell them why. Just say next month or another time.
My favorite now is that it's not in my budget. I think me having this platform and me doing what I do online, it makes it easier now because my friends know how I am. It's like, oh no, it's not in the budget. You need to tell me like 2 months in advance, and then I can put it into the plans. But if you got all of this like spontaneous, oh yeah, let's go here, it's £50. It's not happening.
If the spontaneous does not fit the money, it's okay.
I'm sorry. Like, you can come around to mine after you finish, but yeah, I'm not doing it, kind of thing. So yeah, that saying no thing got me into a lot of trouble financially. Like, so I could totally relate to that. Saying no is a hard thing to do, and saying no without explaining yourself is even harder. Because
honestly,
you want to be apologetic about it. It's like, oh yeah, I'm so sorry, I can't come because, and then you want to start making all these excuses.
Like, I can't make it. I'm unavailable. You don't have to go into details. Oh, I can't afford it. They don't need to know you can't afford it. Just say I can't make it. Okay?
Yeah, and it's okay. It's actually okay to say no. Like, and your people are your people. They will understand, kind of thing. I think, no. Saying no is a big one. It's a very important one to learn the power of no. Saying no so that when you say yes, it can be more impactful. Because if you're saying yes all the time, it's just to your own detriment a lot of the time. So yeah, totally agree. The power of no, guys. Let's learn it. Okay, cool. So last question then, conscious of the time. We've only got a few more minutes left to go. This has gone really quick, actually. really enjoyed this live. Okay, so last question: resources, books. I know you touched on it earlier about the fact that the information is out there, like people just need to go and find it. But what would you recommend as top resources for people, like after this live, they want to go and get more information about personal finances? Where should they go? Like, what should they do? Yeah, what resources would you recommend?
I definitely say, okay, I'll give you some books first, and of course I'll plug myself. Come follow my page, okay? I've got those resources on there, but I'd say a couple of books that really helped me: Rich Dad Poor Dad. And again, it's not just to read the book and do nothing. I feel like so many people that like, you'll post a quote, yeah, this is so powerful, but you actually need to apply. I feel like sometimes we get so addicted to knowledge, but you don't apply it. So definitely, whatever books you're going to read, take away whatever you can and apply it to your life. There's no point you reading and you do nothing about it. So I definitely say Rich Dad Poor Dad. And again, if you're trying to build habits, Atomic Habits is a really, really good book.
Amazing.
Not just with finances, but just habits in general. Whatever you're trying to achieve, you need habits to build that. When you're trying to be successful financially, there's habits you need to implement. So I definitely say that's a great book, and it's a very easy read as well. If you hate reading, it's very easy to read that book. Another book I'd say, which is quite good on mindset and, you know, actually writing down and visualizing your financial goals, is Think and Grow Rich. That's a really good book. Again, a lot of people have read it. It's not manifested yet, but for some. But honestly, reading those books and being very practical. I feel like when it comes to our goals, we're very wishy-washy. I want to be successful, but what does that look like? You want to retire at 40, but how much money do you need to retire at 40? So really, like, taking stock of your numbers, like I said before, knowing your numbers. So those are some great books to read. Also the Dave Ramsey Money Makeover.
Money Makeover, yeah.
Money Makeover. That's another good book to read as well. Podcast. There are so many great. Well, there's my podcast, the Pearls and Pearls podcast. So I speak about lifestyle, also financial tips and tricks as well. Again, the name, the Pearls and Pearls. There's a lot of pearls that when it comes to life and finances and even relationships, we didn't learn. We just kind of had to figure it out. But those are some of the topics that I speak about, and I have other guests kind of sharing their experience as well. So I definitely say that's another good place to start. What other resources are there? And honestly, like, just get involved in the finance community. Again, Tolly's always posting useful videos on YouTube. Maybe you watch them, but you don't apply. Start applying those tips. And you have to be intentional with your life. Whatever it is that you want, it's not good enough to just have the desire. If you're not actually putting in the actions in place, it's not going to happen. It really won't. So definitely making sure that you're being intentional with how you make your decisions, with how you manage your money. And even, like we said before, say no. If you need to say no, it's okay, because you have to think of the bigger picture. I was only able to start to be more disciplined in my finances when I set clear goals for myself. So I know exactly, okay, so this year I need to save this amount of money. This year I want to invest this amount of money. So again, having those clear and defined goals and reviewing them regularly is important. Not just, you know, December 31st, you're looking to see what you achieved so you can post, oh yeah, I achieved my goals. No, you have to be reviewing your goals very regularly. So maybe monthly or every 3 months. Or at bare minimum every quarter, but definitely making sure you're reviewing those goals and the actions you said. Because maybe you said every month I will save X amount, but 3 months have passed, you've not even saved £10. So definitely being accountable to yourself. I'd say one of the biggest things, 2 things that I'd say you need to practically do: be willing to learn. You know, you should never get to a stage in life where you think you know everything. Be willing to learn. And secondly, applied knowledge is power. Yes. So many people, they have the knowledge. I know people that, both of you, please start a podcast if you haven't already. Yes, I have a podcast. I don't have one yet, but the link is in my bio for my podcast. But honestly, like, just be willing to learn. And secondly, apply the knowledge you learn. Yes. Even if you're 10% of knowledge, but you apply that 10%, it's going to make a massive difference in your life. Whereas you can have 90% of knowledge, but you do nothing and your life is stuck. So definitely applied knowledge is power. We say knowledge is power all the time, but it's not true. Applied knowledge is power. So definitely make sure you're applying the knowledge you learn. Like, I'll be honest with you, sometimes now the people that approach me to help them with their finances, there are times when I feel like, oh my gosh, this person has more money than me and they're coming to me to help them. But at the same time, it's like, I know what I'm doing. I've managed £1 million budgets. I don't have £1 million yet, but it's going to come. But again, it's like, honestly, just having that discipline and just being consistent. Keep focusing on those goals. And just keep reminding yourself, this is what I'm doing this for. Make sure that why is strong. And the last thing I'd say, because I told you, Tolu, when I'm passionate, I can go on.
It's all good, babe.
One more thing I'd say is that do not wait on motivation. because so many people ask me, oh, how do you stay consistent? I don't know how you do it, because I have a podcast, I've started my YouTube, I've got my Instagram, and I'm on there very frequently. I've got my clients, I'm a wife, I'm a person, I have a life as well, and there's a lot of things that I juggle. But I'd say the biggest thing for me is it's not waiting for motivation. There are days I can't be bothered. But I show up because I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And like the way that I see is like this generation that I'm in my family, this has to be the generation that is going to be able to build that generational wealth. My parents did not struggle, for now in my generation for us to continue the struggle. And I think for me, just having that, and I have that, you know, I wouldn't say pressure, but I have that remembrance on my shoulder, like you can't afford to just, you know, chill and just waste time. No, you have this opportunity, and maybe you decide to have an impact, but let's be honest, people only, you know, listen to those that you have something they want. Do you understand what I mean? So definitely just maintaining that focus. Do not, so many times everybody's looking, oh, where can I find the motivation?
Within you.
It's not about motivate. It's exactly. And if you're only depending on that, you're not going to be very productive. So even in those times when you can't be bothered, like there's times when checking my finances, I can't be bothered to go through, see what I've spent, you know, how have things been. There's many times you can't be bothered, but I think I can't preach something I don't live. First and foremost, I'm not going to do that. So again, don't wait for motivation to get started. If your finances right now, looking at it, makes you want to cry, just start where you are. Just start, create that financial plan. Start looking at how much savings do I have? So 3 basic things: how much savings do I have? How many debts do I have? How many assets do I have? And last thing, what habits do I have? So then you can start knowing what I need to start working on. Maybe your bad habit is always saying yes. Someone says, lend me £10. It's your last 10, but you will give it. Cut that. You got to learn when to say no.
Yes.
And that's, it's not easy, obviously. It's easier said than done. But definitely having that.
It practice, isn't it? Practice makes perfect. The more you do it, the easier it gets.
Definitely. The more you start saying no, it's going to be easy.
It gets easier. It does. Trust me. It does. No, absolutely amazing. Oh my gosh, you shared so many gems. Let me just quickly go to the comments to make sure I haven't missed anything before we.
I'm just going to drink some of my supermalt. It's very hot.
Oh, bless you. No, that's cool. So, going back to Brixton Bell, she said accountability. Oh gosh, I can't even talk. Accountability partner is a definite for me. Can't take the shame. Yes, exactly. No. Totally agree. It's so important to have an accountability partner. Application is key, but you said exactly. Knowledge that's not applied is just redundant, isn't it? You need to apply that knowledge. So it's so important, because it's true. Like what you said, even with every book you read, if you could just take one thing and apply it, you'll be so much further ahead. But just reading all these books for the sake of reading it and not actually doing anything with it, you might as well not read it. So yeah, no, totally. Okay. Oh, both of you need to start a podcast. Yeah, so Peta-Kay's already got a podcast. My one is still pending. It's coming. Watch this space. And then lastly, Miss Fran said Peta-Kay's last podcast on shared ownership is so good. Okay, guys, go check that out then after this. So no, that's amazing. Yeah, no, so resources wise, you've covered quite a lot of resources. Absolutely amazing. And just general stuff in terms of how to get on top of your finances and really just develop overall as a person, which is absolutely true. All the things you said I can so relate to. Resources wise, the only other one that I'll plug is my new ebook, How I Paid Off £36,000 Debt. So that's in my bio if you guys want to check that out. It just literally is me sharing my own debt-free story and how I got out of debt and the steps in which I took to get there. So if anyone's in debt and you want a blueprint, I guess you can have a look at mine and see if it works for you. So that's in my bio. But just in general, I guess last thoughts or last comments, any last words of wisdom in terms of how people can start thriving, and stop surviving in 2021. Any last couple of comments that you want, or last comment you want to make before we wrap up?
Last comment I'd make is create a financial plan. Because maybe right now you have goals, but it's not a clear financial plan. Definitely create one. It needs to be detailed. It's almost basically, it's like the business plan, but for your finances. Start thinking about, what is the ultimate goal for my finances? What do I actually want my life to look like? When I get to 50 or 60, how do I want my life to look like? Because again, you getting there and being able to achieve that is going to start now. So definitely plan. If you don't know where to start, if you go onto my website, I have a template for it. It's like $2.99 or something. and it's going to break everything down. It's going to show you what information you need to put in, what things you need to be considering. And a lot of the times it's things that you've never thought about, but it's very, very important. So definitely create a solid financial plan, because having these fluffy goals is not enough.
Oh, it's so true. You have to be so specific, because it's like, yeah, I want to pay off my debt, okay, but we need to be really specific with that, and why as well. I think it's so important to have a clear why. Like, why are we doing this? What's the actual ultimate goal? Where exactly are we trying to get to? Because without having a clear plan and a clear goal or a clear place that we're trying to get to, it's easy to kind of be distracted by all these meaningless things. But I think when you're specific and clear on your vision and where you're trying to get to, it's much harder for people to kind of come and throw you off course, because it's like, actually, no, I know where I'm headed and I know how I'm trying to get there. I'm not going to fall for this low-hanging fruit over here. So I think, yeah, being very specific and clear on where you're trying to get to makes so much difference. Because I can't tell you the amount of money that I've wasted over the years when I didn't have a plan versus now.
It's too painful.
I wouldn't even dare do it to myself to try and calculate it. But yeah, because when there's no plan for that money, listen, that money just goes missing. But when you're intentional, you have a clear plan, you'll see, you'll end up, it'll feel like you've got a pay rise. Like, if you've never created a budget before, you've never created a spending plan consciously, when you do it for the first time, you'll be so shocked at how much money you actually have. Like, literally every single person that I've done this with, they're like, oh wow, like, huh? How have I got this much money?
Again, retain that money. It's like, oh my gosh, I actually have way more money. I'm like, yeah, it's because you're always spending it. You're not tracking it. So definitely, I'd say another thing is start tracking your spending, start planning. For example, if I know in the month of May, like I know I've got a birthday coming up in May. So already I'm considering that. I'm planning ahead. Okay, so in May, I'm going to need to put aside X amount to get this person a gift. The best thing you can start doing with your money is planning ahead. Because a lot of the time when things just catch you by surprise, you're just like, oh, what am I going to do? Then you're going into the savings account to pay for this or that, or you're having to use money that's not your own and you can't afford to use to pay for those things. So definitely planning ahead and having a way to track your money, whether that's going to be through an app or getting myself or Tolu's, budget trackers. Definitely have a way to track your money, because that in itself gives you accountability. When you realize how much money you're spending on food or giving to that family member you're always giving every time they ask you for money, it's like, wow, this is where my money is going.
No, you're so right. The tracking your spending will actually make you spend less money. I know from my personal experience that whole thing of having to write it down
is going down and down, because when you see the numbers, it's shameful. Like, what is this? Yep.
Yeah, you just don't do it half the time. So yeah, no, definitely that's a very big one. But oh my gosh, it's been a fantastic session. Like, literally I could talk to you for another 1 hour, but I'm conscious it's late, it's the evening, we need to get our rest. Tomorrow's another day. So thank you so much, Peta-Kay, for this live. Thank you for all the wisdom and the pearls that you shared on this live has been incredible. I've really enjoyed having this conversation with you. And I guess, last word, last thing you want to say before we wrap up, like tell the guys where they can find you, where they can connect with you, any last things.
So you can definitely connect with me on Instagram. Like, all my links to everything that I do is in my bio, so you can check out my website. I have a blog that I'll be relaunching soon, because you got to prioritize what you do. So I also have a YouTube channel as well that I'm trying to build weekly, having videos on there on personal finance or just even personal growth in general. I have a podcast which I'm very consistent with, and I'm very proud of myself, because it was in 2020 that I started to be more disciplined with that. And honestly, seeing the growth, it's been like, yeah, I need to be more consistent with that. So I've also got a podcast, but the best way really just to connect with me on Instagram, because everything that I do, I always kind of share it on there too.
On Instagram as well. Amazing. And I'm just going through the last of the comments, sorry. So Brixton Bell said, just say no. Yep, it's so true. Just say no. Lidl shopping only. Yeah, Lidl's not bad. I do Aldi, and I guess they're pretty similar.
For me, Aldi, yeah. Shop where you can afford.
Yeah, exactly. And then Grace said, planning is key. Yeah, exactly. Planning, trust me, it makes, what they say, fail to plan, you plan to fail. Something like that. That's the quote, and it's so true. And then Finance D said, came late, but amazing job, ladies. No, thank you. It's absolutely been amazing. And I guess for anyone that doesn't know who I am, and you've come over from Peta-Kay's channel, I'll tell you, I do money coaching. I have a YouTube channel too. So the link's in my bio. It's self-titled. And I also, what else I do? Oh my gosh, I can't even remember. I've got a blog too, actually. Yes, I've got a blog as well, which I blog on weekly. And then, I have my mailing list in my bio, which you can sign up for, because I send weekly newsletters with money saving tips, trips, special offers, freebies. There's a lot in there. So yeah, you can definitely subscribe to my newsletter for more. And every single week, I have a special guest that comes on and joins me live Thursday at 8 p.m. to talk about one important money topic or another. So today we've obviously spoken about how to start thriving and stop surviving with your finances. And next week we're going to be talking about something totally different. So yeah, definitely come back and join us again next week at 8 p.m. on Thursday. But thank you, Peta-Kay. You have been an absolute gem. Amazing live. Enjoyed talking to you. So yeah, that's literally it for today, guys. See you later, Peter. I said Peter. See you later, Peta-Kay.
Bye.
Bye, guys.